Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The 6th of November, 7 o'clock, General Operations Committee. I will give the invocation, if you all don't mind. Sure. Heavenly Father, we thank you for a gorgeous day, a great week, and we ask you to help us make decisions that need to be made in the right order and with the right decision that would be your will. We ask you to make this a pleasant evening and with as little consternation as possible. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. I would like to make one change to the agenda, and it's the auxiliary package. And it would be new business 9B, and it will be additional offices.
9A.
No, 9A.
We have a 9A.
Documentation relating to.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, are we able to do that without proper notice?
With what?
Without proper notice, since
Yeah.
it was not advertised on the agenda?
Well, this was addressed the last meeting, and this is an item for increasing office space for the financial department. It's really a pretty small item.
It's just a question.
This came up at a prior committee meeting. The intent in the case law is that things that could derive significant input from the public, the citizens, those are things that are especially going to need to be noticed. And on the agenda before it's brought up to discuss things of this nature fall on the other side of the spectrum there, so these are considered more administrative, and it's understood by the legislature in case law that there are certain functions where you just don't know until you come to the floor to add it. And if it's not a nominal issue, you should be okay.
Monetary amount of consideration.
Yeah, 15 million kind of makes it a little bit of a discourse.
So I'm going to call this additional office space for financial department. Oh. Okay. Without objection, I'm making a change.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Hold your,
do we have any objections?
hold your second.
Okay. So, with that, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Miller made the motion. Commissioner Jones seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, approval of the minutes from October 2nd, I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Report of the chairman. I think anything I would report is in old or new business, so I will move on to report of the county mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item 8A, progress on the roof archive. We have got the engineer. We're moving forward with the architect engineer. So we don't have anything to report to the committee other than that right now on that item. Item B, on the jail, the architect engineer is working on a design right now. Again, nothing to bring to the committee at this time. Item C, update on new courthouse parking structure. We are moving panels, so the construction has started. Everything's on track right now to still be finished in June. Item D, securing the Draper House. The roof has been completed, and we have not received any bids or money on the doors, so I don't know where we are with that. That has not come through my office. And it's come to my attention that we now have two groups seeking control of that. Another group has started. They're nonprofit. I don't know the intentions of the second group. I don't know who's in charge at this point. But that's where we are with the Draper House. And that completes my report. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We'll cover those, anything in there, Mr. Jones?
I got a question, Mr. Chairman, I'll address to you, but, Mr. Mayor, you have to answer also. The item B, 8B, statement of intent to move forward, was that on the, solar panel roof?
No.
Or was that on something else?
No, that was just statement to intent to get a...
For the roof of
An architect.
being worked with now?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's architect. And then, the Draper House, what is the status of this other group? We're gonna hear more about it in days to come or next month?
I apologize, but I've just only heard. I really don't know.
I don't know about it either. You know, it's, well, what I do know is that the doors are up and the door knobs are on, and it's locked.
Oh, so the doors have been installed?
Mhm.
Okay. That did not come through our office.
So the
Who
roof's
paid
on,
for that?
security's done, doorknobs are on.
Yeah, the building.
Everything the first group said they take care of, us take care of.
That's
We're
correct.
not outstanding on anything on that.
That's correct.
Good to know.
Okay, so, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your report.
Thank you.
Recognition of the public, Gabby Cato.
My address is 205 Dale Avenue in Gallatin.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for thinking about the issue of parking for the courthouse in regards to our users at the Gallatin Public Library and taking it seriously. We have people throughout the community who rely on the library, students working on research, adults looking for jobs and resources, families looking for entertainment and learning. We only have 43 spaces, and our library guests already mentioned daily that it's hard to find parking. Our users already have to park all around the square, sometimes walking blocks just to get to our buildings. We only have 2 handicap parking spots, and they remain full every minute of the days that we're open. Daily visits average over 400 each day while we're open, and last fiscal year we had 86,625 visitors that walked through our back doors. We have highly attended events every single day of the week for all ages. Bingo normally has 25 or more people every Wednesday. Our Wigglers program for toddlers never has less than 50 attendees at each of the 2 classes they offer a week. Our community coloring never has less than 30 people at it each week, and they come in large groups. Our homeschool group averages 35 kids a week, plus all of their parents and younger siblings. Our bi-monthly blood drive never has less than 15 people donating, plus the 5 or more staff members they bring each time. For a quarter of each year, we have 7 AARP volunteers offer free tax services to over 100 or more underprivileged and senior members of our community. We have almost 28,000 active card holders. We are part of every parade and festival and event on the square, and we love serving those visitors. I don't know if the answer is signs or fences or cameras, but please believe me that we are desperately in need of the current spots that we have to be protected for our library visitors.
Thank you very much. Okay, I receive a motion to suspend the rules.
Sure. Motion to suspend.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I'll get behind you if you have a question.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Sounds like y'all are very busy, a very busy library. So the question came up here about, in the interim between them actually opening the parking garage, what are they gonna do? Fast forward to after the parking garage, you guys have a plan in place to keep people out of the parking lot after the parking lot is up and running, after the parking garage is up and running.
Every alternative we've looked at has problems. Nobody has come up with any good solutions. We don't really have the budget to do cameras or add fences. We will have to move money around just to put signs up or paint the parking lot again. I don't have any clue how we're going to handle it.
If you remember, I brought this up because in my conversations with Gabby over a month ago, this is going to be a real problem for the library. I didn't realize they only had 43 spaces. And, you know, I had proposed, and kind of got slammed to the floor, that we have a fence with a gate that would what it would do is it would inhibit people. It doesn't mean they absolutely couldn't park there and walk around the other side. But I think at that point, it would be much more preferable for them to park in the parking structure or somewhere else rather than park in the library and have to walk all the way around.
I did about the problem and make it, it's not just a problem in the interim, I say a problem for the future, because whatever solution we come up with, whether it would have been that or something else, once the public figures out a way around it, they're going to do it because it is, parking is such a premium down there.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to really think about a better solution for the ongoing future, but immediately.
Yeah.
Even that's
Well, I thought I'd let it die for a while and then bring it back, so.
We're running out of time though, aren't we? I mean, when are they coming on,
Well,
January?
yeah, the fence is fairly minimal. I mean, it's 26 feet of fence and a 10-foot gate, a double hung gate. So it would not be a lot of money for the budget committee to approve. I could get prices.
That's all the questions I had for her. I don't want to get up here. And just the point I wanted to make was, did y'all even have a solution for the long term? I know we were trying to figure out the short term immediately, but
We actually gave a presentation in 2017 when all of this started, mentioning how big a problem parking was going to be when it was initially discussed to build a parking garage where the courthouse is. To build it in our parking lot before the courthouse was started, they mentioned building a parking garage using our back parking lot. And we talked to y'all about it then, about how terrifying that thought was.
not y'all.
Not,
That's what I was going to ask.
I'm so sorry.
What did they say? What was the previous commission, what did
There
they
was
say?
no solution, and they went ahead and built it and let us keep our back parking lot.
No foresight for your parking. Wow.
We used to use the church parking lot where the courthouse is built, and that church supported us and let us use it with absolutely no problem, and came to the courthouse.
We heard you loud.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Mr. Klein?
Oh, yes.
Before my wife left the library, this was a concern of hers, because she had said to me, and maybe to Gabby, I'm not sure, about, without Gabby even saying anything to her, about the fact that they have such limited space for parking, and had brought this to Gabby's attention. So I hope we can do something to help her. She has a very active and well-used library, and Tim, Commissioner Jones, is exactly right. People are going to go the shortest distance, and if there's a parking space here versus going a half a block away to a parking garage, they're going to try to park at the library. Now, what we do, I'm not sure, hosting or stamping people who come to the library to use this space, I'm not sure, but we do need to put our heads to it and try to come up with something.
I will come up with something again, and I think it's a good short-term and a long-term solution. But I will put pen to paper and get some costs.
Good.
And we'll, okay. Let's bring it back into session then.
Can we discuss this for a second? Don't interrupt.
Okay.
Back in session. Is not this an issue for the people that built the courthouse to finish coming up with the rest of the plan for the parking? Like, they should,
Well,
it's an incomplete plan if they didn't come up with it. Or it really irritates me that that's going to be finished and operational without parking. But then going forward, to ensure that their visitors that frequent that courthouse aren't using every place around them, I think would be on their responsibility. Is there nothing we can do there to
well,
hide accidents?
them is us.
Well, I mean, no, like, the people that were over the building of that project, we get reports, but there's architects and there's.
Oh, you're talking about in the short
Judge
term?
Thompson and other people that are overseeing it, that this should have been on their radar and see if they have any kind of plan to finish what they started.
Well, it's complicated, and Mayor Isbell will vouch for me on this.
Oh, sure it is.
AT&T delayed the construction of that parking structure by 9 months to a year. And it took an act of a state senator or somebody who knew somebody to actually get them to get off the dime and move their cables so that we could start construction. John, if you've got something to add to that.
No.
And so they would have been finished simultaneously. Now Gabby and her crew have been really kind to people parking in their parking lot, construction people, and I'm sure that's tailing off maybe a little bit. Yeah, okay, so.
But the point is, the interim is our problem to deal with.
Mhm.
What happens after parking structure gets built should have been in the master plan for how they handle keeping, is it even enough parking places once they get the parking?
It's on the agenda.
Is it?
Oh, well, yeah, the update, so, okay, well, you know what, you're right, let's, actually, I think we're there, because there's really nothing to vote on, progress on the roof and parapets of archive buildings.
Do you want it on or off?
I think we can remove it at this point, since we're moving forward on it. If we have to bring it back as new business, we will.
Okay.
And same with the progress on the roof of Sumner County Jail. Now that it's moving forward, if we have to bring up anything, we will add it to new business. So I just drove by the parking structure, and they've got one section that's 5 stories high now. They're lifting panels in place, so all of a sudden, it seemed like it took forever to get out of the ground, but now it's starting to fly. So, you know, hopefully it will be done with it before June.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of the county mayor?
Absolutely.
What is the estimated completion date for the parking structure? June. So if we subtract the 9 months that we lost to AT&T, that gets us to right about now.
Right.
So we can squarely lay this at the feet of AT&T, really not anybody else. So I think that's kind of where it lies, and I don't know that you can foresee, I don't think any commission could have foreseen that them trying to.
And our people on the ground did everything I know that they could have. And it was just a stroke of luck that the senator said, this is a bunch of garbage, and he made a few phone calls, and all of a sudden, bingo, it happened. So.
It's the benefit of being a senator.
So, anyway, it's looking good over there, but to continue on with the library parking, yeah, we have to do something, and it's for the long term. Yes, ma'am.
My concern is, even with the parking structure, there's still not enough parking. So even if they need a temporary solution until this is done, I think it's going to continue to be a problem even after.
That's where I was going.
Because there's not
It
enough
wasn't more
parking.
about blame as to why it's late, it's about, do they have a plan when it is finished to keep Ms. Gabby from having issues with people parking in her parking lot? Is it enough? And is that actually closer from the parking garage or easier to get in and out of on a sunny day than the parking garage? Have they foreseen all that? And I want to know what that plan is from the people that did it.
On any of the construction plans I've seen, there was no remedy for this problem. It was not even considered by the architects. I suppose we could go back and talk to them, but I think the solution is simpler than that.
Mr. Miller, did you know what the shortage was? Have you just heard?
It's 350 parking spaces is what the parking structure is.
What does the courthouse foresee their usable day that you used to? Any idea from?
More than that?
3 to 500 or
More than that?
1,000?
Yeah, that'd be more, depends on how many people.
I mean, there's multiple courts, and I know that there's.
Like 1,000, we're talking 1,000?
Well, I mean, if you, sorry, but it puts strain on the entire of Gallatin, the square in that section, right? I mean, all the other businesses, not just necessarily the library, but, I mean, that's obviously an issue that's up to everybody. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chrissy, sorry.
There's very limited parking underneath, and I think that's just basically reserved for not all the people working in the building. You're gonna have people that work there, and you've got all kinds of people that work there in the building, and then you're gonna have people coming in at the court. I don't wanna say numbers, because I had a discussion with 2 different judges, and they gave me numbers, but I can't recall off the top of my head, but it's way more than that.
Is it?
And just like one session of court, so then you have to do multiple. So it's definitely going to be an issue. And I mean, the library, if it's going to be temporarily, my question would be, how are they going to get in and out of the fence? There's just a citizen visiting the library, you're going to have somebody out there sitting at the gate, opening and closing the gate, letting them in? I mean,
Well, the fence that separates the courthouse from the library, it's the only real easy access.
Seems to make it hard for them to walk around.
Yes.
I don't think that's
Well,
I don't know what the solution
I don't
is,
either.
because it's a mess, but it's our mess now.
it's our mess now. Mr. Mayor, you have a comment?
Yeah, and it's too early to bring anything to this committee, but we're working on an agreement with Baptist Church for parking there during the week. But we're in the preliminary discussions of that, so it's really nothing that we can bring to you. But it's our goal to strike an agreement that we can use that parking lot during the week as well. So,
Mr. Mayor, have you heard any expectations of the number of cars that would be needed in that? No, you haven't, okay.
Do you have a timeline on when you know that answer?
no.
I don't know who would know.
No, it'll be by the time it opens.
They'll know that day.
So, whatever we agree to, we'll bring it to this body.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there'll be some type of funding mechanism with that.
So let's keep item C on old business. I will come up with a better drawing than last time. Yeah, it's not a pretty picture. We're inheriting the problem, and the problem was mostly from AT&T. But
One more question before
Yes,
we
sir.
move on. If you're thinking about gating or fencing off for the foreseeable future, that parking lot, would there be some way, and this might be a question for Gabby, to turn that library card into a key, basically,
Badge in, badge out.
or badge in, badge out of the parking lot itself? That it might be just a little more additional expense, but it could remove the problem long-term just for the library. It doesn't eliminate the parking, but, yeah. Well,
I mean.
They'll find a way.
then they wouldn't be able to park. Then they wouldn't be able to park,
They'll
so.
find a way.
It's a good idea. Well, we'll have to kick it around. Let's start with my plan, and we'll kick that one around again. And
They also have the ability, to have their card on their app too. If they don't have their card, they don't, well, that might be something you look into as well.
Our operating system probably will not support something that basic, and we don't require people to use their library card on our level of extracting.
I got you.
So a lot of people don't even have a card for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Okay. So we'll move on from that. We'll keep that on old business. And then, does anybody have any questions about securing of the Draper House? I don't know about the 2 communities. I mean, I've heard little things, but it's nothing that's come to fruition. My concern is the houses are secure now. The post office and the house is secure, and not going to flood in because there's a roof there now, so. Okay, new business, I made a request, as you all saw, to...
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman, are we going to remove D?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's done. As you probably all saw, I sent an email to Mayor Isbell. It just came to mind, and it was one of the other commissioners came to me, that we're starting to have little dribbles in on, or needs of finances for the Brown House. That's a historic house, and you probably all know I'm a big advocate of historic buildings and stuff in Sumner County. But I thought it would make a lot of sense for the entire commission to know what the parameters of our responsibilities are. Mr. Mayor has responded that it's going to be a lot of work, and he's soliciting the help of our legal office and David Lawing's office. And so I don't know what else to say about it, except that we'll be getting that package in the upcoming weeks, and we can study it and at least understand what we're responsible for at that point in time. If anybody else has any questions they want to talk about regarding that, or any statements they want to make. Okay. You know, I would like to ask the mayor to speak to it because he knows a lot more about it than I do.
What's the question?
Mr. Jones wants to know a little bit of the history of the Brown House and how it ended up being something that's requiring.
Right, well, it was donated as part of that land project for Liberty Creek. And the acreage, there's two different parcels there. The acreage is the Brown Park. Now, the house, they have separated that from the acreage. And the schools have said that they will bear the cost of restoring that. They want to restore that house to where it can be used for educational purposes within that park. But the park itself, that's what we were talking about with the rollover money. And they're two separate things.
Well, I just learned more about it than I knew before, so that's where we are with it.
Is it in like shambles, or does it just need some upkeep?
It needs, yeah, there's, my understanding is they're going to remove the brick, which will expose the logs, the original logs, and they're going to remove the back part that was an add-on. So they're going to try to get back to that original structure and then just kind of maintain it from there.
How old is it?
I don't know.
Hundreds, couple hundred years old?
I'm sure it's over 100 years old, yeah.
I didn't know it was a log cabin. Mr. Hyde, you must know.
Can't.
I don't.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready to recomprise the committees now?
I don't deserve this.
On record, I don't agree with that.
No, really, I'd love to know more about the house. I think it's interesting that there were several caveats that the commission was responsible for. I'm not sure that, did we know this? I didn't know it.
You know, we're all new here.
I mean, I guess it was in the bill of sale or the Board of Education.
In all of that agreement that they put together, the previous commission, and I'm learning too, because it was done under a different administration. But as I gather that, I've sent the request to legal and to finance for all their documents.
And thank you for
and
that.
as we gather those, I think we'll all learn more together.
I'm just saying that because, you know, something else may pop up here.
Right. And I just thought we should be prepared, and by having those documents, we should be. So, Commissioner Jones.
Like, how much money, is there a ballpark range of what it's going to cost to renovate this house, to bring it back to historical?
The schools are bearing that cost, so I haven't asked them. And I don't know if they know, because they're at the very beginning stages of any of that work.
It seems kind of odd to me that a great gift was given and land donated, but the prerequisite was that we're gonna have to spend money to bring something up that we could have took or left at the time. Those strings attached seem kind of weird to me. I would like to learn a lot more about what that prerequisite
Yeah,
was.
that's the request to the mayor.
And I'm not sure that there's strings. I think it's something that we want to preserve. I think as a county, you want to preserve that. I don't think there's strings that you have to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Sifter
With an
may,
ask or.
If this is the same property I'm thinking of, it's got a fairly elaborate will, it's got a trust, I believe the mayor's on the trust, Mr. Langford's on the trust, and it's got quite a, previous mayor was, now it's set up to be the school director and the mayor, whoever they happen to be. So it was, my whole file was forwarded to the mayor's office on this, and there's trust funds, there's accounts that have to be managed. It's a fairly extensive process, and this is one of those trusts that, as it's set up now, grows, and when it grows, you use the growth to put back into the program. So this still has life to it. Now, I don't know if any of those funds can be used for this building itself, but if the school board's going to use some of their funds, I anticipate they'll see some money in return just from the derivatives of the investments that are part of this whole trust. Would you say that's an accurate summary?
Well, the proceeds from the trust go to technology in schools. It's earmarked for technology.
Well, my point is, they're getting money here, but having to spend some over here. It's two different categories, but does that make sense?
yeah, it just
Okay.
sounds really complicated.
They didn't make it very easy, but it's not the worst one I've seen. It's a nice give back provision.
I look forward to all the documentation that's available to.
Be careful what you ask for. Just like you.
Well, we want the documentation and an explanation. Our legal explanation.
Something's coming up in 2024.
We don't just want a handful of paper. We want some explanation.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussion coming up as soon as we'll probably put it on the agenda to understand where we're at with it. And I think it's important that the entire commission understand it, all the legal, all the financial. It could be a very expensive ordeal, I don't know, but we'll know when we get the documentation. Okay, we can probably wipe that one off the agenda. And then the final thing, which is the one I added, I'd like to make a motion to discuss this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. David Loring came to me, or asked me to come by the office last Wednesday. And he is going to be hiring one person to handle the opioid abatement distribution of money. And he's also, as I understand it, going to bring purchasing of the road department into his office. And so he needed more space. And so this packet here is rough drawings that Beth made for him on the back. And then I came up with some dollar amounts.
Is this just a duplicate page?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. You can tear one off. I've made one for Eric and it got copied. So, what I don't know is if offices 3 and 4 have to happen now. Currently those are 2 cubicles that he wants to turn into closed offices. And I was trying to get him, but he was not out of the office when I got here at 3, or he wasn't in the office when I got here at 3. So I don't, the total bill here is going to be around $13,000, which would require bid. Unless Mr. Loring would like to forego offices 3 and 4, and then, frankly, I'm in favor of bidding it. I think we'll get the best price. So I would, first of all, does anybody have any questions about what, okay, Mr. Hyde? Go ahead.
I feel like because I'm the elderly person here, I'm taking into consideration. I think, the highway department needs help with purchasing. I mean, what is suggested here is good, from what I know of it. The other thing that we need to consider, I think probably your idea of going ahead and bidding this and doing the work is better. One of the biggest mistakes we ever made in this building here was building 2 floors out and leaving the other unbuilt. Because we had an estimate on it at the time that it could have been done, or they did. I came shortly after this building was built, but it could have been done so cheaply. And then when we did decide to build out the 3rd floor, it was extremely costly. Cost of materials, labor, and so forth.
Getting it up to the 3rd floor.
And yes, and that, craning that up through windows up there. So, but anyway, to go ahead and do that now, will probably be maybe a $15,000 project that would one day be a, $50,000, $75,000 project.
Yeah. I agree. Mr. Jones?
Well, I'll give you the next one to you. You all right?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to understand a little bit, no criticism, just why is the highway department moving in there? You said they needed help.
They really need
Is the
help.
finance department going to be helping them? That's why they're coming together?
I think that's probably the end game.
And what was the other, the opioid abatement, they're hiring somebody that needs an office.
That is huge.
That's going to be an ongoing thing that they're going to do somebody.
So they have kind of a not a maintenance room, but it's just got some cabinets in it, and I don't know if they use it a whole lot, but we would move the cabinets out into a different room and then put a wall right down the middle, and then, so there would be 2 offices there, and then on the other side of their entryway, in a place where there's a lot of filing cabinets, there are a couple of cubicles that he wants to just turn into offices for those people who work in those cubicles to have a little more security.
So where did this?
I came up with it.
Okay.
I put it together.
Kind of spitball and see how.
Yeah, I went online and
Put it on.
got some footage prices and stuff. I don't know how close it is because, normally I would take more time and talk to some contractors that I know. I just didn't have the time to do it. I started this about 1 o'clock today.
No, I'm for this. One thing that came to mind though, anytime we're talking about building out the upper, this is 3rd floor, right?
Mhm.
I keep being reminded about something that I wonder if we took care of, with the freeze of last year, the sprinkler pipes that I said needed to be terminated before they go through the walls, because they stick out into the dormers where they're exposed to those temperatures, and I wonder if that ever got done, and here's another opportunity if we're going to be building out floors to address that. I just think it needs to be looked at sometime. We're coming up on winter again.
It didn't get done, and you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that.
No, that's not on agenda, but it came on mind, so I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
We can keep on going and.
Yeah, and just in brief, what Tim's talking about is there are little dormers on the mansard roofs. Those are dead spaces that are not conditioned space, so they're subject to the same temperature that's outside, which is the same reason that one exploded.
The original sprinkler system was in an attic, and then when we built it out, we put drywall,
And
punched holes in the drywall, and the sprinkler goes right through it into the old attic space, which is unconditioned. And that caused some of the freeze out bursts.
And,
They should be cut off and terminated in the internal finished part.
yeah, what I'll do is, if nobody has a problem with this, I'll get together with Josh Suddeth and Marshall Boyd and we'll take a look at it and see what they think, and if they think we need to go to more expert fire sprinkler company, or, you know, if Marshall's Engineering will cover this.
It's not really the time to bring it up, but we're talking about building spaces up there, and it came up on mine,
So-
well, it can be handled during a build-out, or if it needs to be handled before. I just wanted to mention.
I'll put that on the agenda for next month, but I'll get a jump on it right now, unless anybody has a problem with that. No? Okay. All right, so, that said,
Mr. Chairman, do we just need to make a motion to pass this on the budget?
I think so, and I think we should put a dollar amount. I'd say not to exceed $20,000 would be a reasonable.
I haven't seen any plans, I have no clue.
Yeah, and he,
But while I'm talking.
Sure, go ahead.
Just real quick, are we expanding their footprint, or are we just building within that footprint?
we're building within their footprint. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, at that point, I would entertain a motion.
Motion, to build out up to $20,000.
You got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have,
I got one question.
okay, one question.
Sorry. The, item 8, I'm sorry, 9A, documentations, you asked the documents, to come back, but then you also removed that from the agenda. Is there something that's going to be added on later, whenever the documents do come around, or do we need to leave that on the agenda?
Well, if we, you know, you're right, if we want to discuss it, we probably should keep it. So let's keep 9A on as old business,
Also make sure I made it to the minute.
and we can probably lose item B and send that forward to
Let's go on to budget.
budget. Right, okay, all right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?